I previously covered this game on my blog, but I decided to create a video review of it. The WarioWare games finally made their way onto the Switch in the form of WarioWare. Get it together. Are Wario and Friends' new micro games fun and compelling? Or should they have spent a little more time in development? Wario and Friends have finally completed the development of their new game. Unfortunately, their celebrations are short-lived, as a game bug is discovered in the final product, which leads to Wario and the crew getting sucked into the game world. Now Wario and Friends must complete the game levels they developed to clear out the game bugs and hopefully escape to the outside world. While the plot is simple, it also helps give an in-game reason for some of the gameplay gimmicks offered in this title. This, plus the quirky humor that has become prominent within the series, helps create an enjoyable experience from start to finish. This game is perfect for those who want something that does not take itself too seriously and is a little more lighthearted. Like the previous games in the series, WarioWare, Get It Together, tasks players to complete several microgames within a level, all of which have a small time limit. These bite-sized, quirky games will have players complete odd tasks such as plugging a nose, grabbing a piece of garlic without getting caught, and helping Samus reach the exit of a room. As you complete microgames within a level, the time limit will occasionally get smaller, and the games will become more challenging. Following the trend from the previous WarioWare games, all microgames can be completed in only a couple of button presses. However, they did add a twist for this title. As mentioned earlier, I said that the plot gave an in-game reason for the gameplay gimmicks offered in this game. Because Wario and Friends were sucked into the game world due to the game bugs, the player can play as each character. In addition to this, each character also plays differently. For example, if you're playing as Wario, he can move in all directions and use a bash attack. But, for instance, if you're playing as Mike, instead of having a bash attack, he can also fire music note attacks upward. Because of these slight differences, each character tackles the microgames in their own unique way. To gain access to most of the characters within the game, you'll need to first play the characters stage within the story mode, which is where the bulk of this game's content lies. In the story mode, you'll be presented with an overworld map used to select the stage you'd like to visit, similar to that of Super Mario World. After selecting a stage on the overworld, you'll play through a series of microgames based on a theme. For example, the microgames in 9-Volt stage are based on old Nintendo games, whereas the games in Ashley's stage are based on food. Occasionally, the player will enter a level that randomizes all of the microgames that you've played up to that point. Players probably noticed that several menu options were locked when they first started up the game. Well, after a certain point in the game, these menus will begin to unlock. One of these options is called the Variety Pack. Here, you can play with a group of friends in several mini-games. In this mode, you can play games such as High Five, Gotta Bounce, and Friendless Battle, which is a simple fighting mini-game that challenges you to face off against all of the characters in the game. Throughout the game, you'll collect Wario coins as you complete levels and bonus stage, and after reaching a specific point in the game, you'll finally be able to spend those hard-earned coins. Selecting Emporium from the crew option on the main screen will take you to the game's shop. Here you can purchase various prezes for Wario and Friends on the On Sale Now tab, or you can get a randomized item by spending coins on the Cluckade page. After obtaining some prezes, you can head over to the break room and give them to the crew member of your choice. Doing so will raise their base score, the number of points the character can win from each microgame they successfully complete in the Wario Cup. This brings us to the next game mode, the Wario Cup. This game mode hosts a weekly challenge that players can compete in, and if they'd like, they can record their high score online. Here, players will play a randomized sequence of microgames using the characters of their choice. If a character fails a microgame, they are removed for the remainder of the Wario Cup. After winning the cup, players are rewarded with more Wario coins, which they can use to continue building their team's stats. The next thing I'd like to touch on is the missions. On the missions menu, players will see a set of tasks that they can complete. These missions range from unlocking all of the life microgames to getting the highest score on the fantasy set of microgames. Completing these challenges will reward the player with more Wario coins. It'll take players a long time to complete the missions, as there are several of them. Now moving on to my thoughts on the gameplay. First of all, I know that players were disappointed with the price of this game because they didn't think there would be a lot of content to a WarioWare game. But as you can see, there's quite a bit. It will take a long time to truly unlock everything in this game, so players should be busy for a while. that. Plus, it is cheaper than most of Nintendo's flagship titles. If you've been a fan of the WarioWare games for a while, you'll love this title. Between the classic quirky humor, the extra game modes, and the large cast of characters, you won't be disappointed. The game also encourages you to play as the other characters because the difficulty of the microgames can vary depending on which character you select. The microgames were a joy to play, with my favorites being the Nintendo and That's Life variants. It's always fun to see what the next microgame is that they throw at you. Like the previous games in the series, WarioWare, Get It Together, utilizes assets from older Nintendo games and odd drawings for its microgames. The mishmash of various art styles results in a stylish game that takes pride in its crude humor. As with the older games, this is a design choice to help make the player laugh and have an enjoyable experience, in which it succeeded. While the graphics won't blow you away like they do in games like The Last of Us Part 2 or Luigi's Mansion 3, they aren't supposed to. I thoroughly enjoyed my experience with WarioWare, Get It Together. This title feels like a much-needed return to form for the series while also throwing in a twist to help keep the gameplay fresh. If you enjoy silly humor or if you're a fan of the WarioWare games, pick this title up. You won't be disappointed. However, if you don't enjoy crude, silly humor, you probably won't enjoy this game.